Doroko says, who checks the ICYFAR replays now? So eonblu's still doing it for the moment, but he's getting 1 or 2 people. He's getting, well, one new person for now to help out who's trying it, and then another one soon after. But they're doing it together at the moment, so he's passing on his knowledge of how to pick the silliest games. Pretty incredible. eonblu helped us so for such a long time with ICYFAR. Picked a lot of good replays for us. You guys still have time to get your replays in for this ICYFAR challenge, !ICYFAR. Got plenty of time. Get your games in. All right. As much as I'm enjoying practicing 3-gate robo, we are going to try and do that challenge from Sondolgen, which, even though this is a very solid timing attack, I'm still relatively new to it in the grand scheme of things. Like, I still haven't done the 3-gate robo like 30 games or anything like that, right? Which you really want for a build where you want to be so tight. So we're gonna go back to a more standard PvP opening, and I will show a pretty basic way of finishing the game. Like, I'll do the 45 probe arc on immortal timing, +2 probably, which is the most standard way, but you could easily, you know, carry it into a macro game instead, right? So we're gonna try and show that. I think I'll do this off macro oracle, maybe? So I haven't been doing many defensive openings in this matchup lately, so hopefully I don't screw the pooch and just like let Adept slide in or anything. I'm a big fan of Adepts early myself, 2 Adepts into Stalkers and stuff defensively, so those 2 Adepts can just get so much information for me. And this is such a big map, so we're gonna scout after our gateway. Notice first of all, we're checking for cannons. See if there's any pylons a little bit further back, see if anyone's being a sneaky dickhead. He is here a little bit early. So it is possible that he's up to no good, but we'll just keep our eye on him for now. Like... So it's odd that he came here so early. It's really odd. Do you guys actually, you know what? I'm just gonna double check something real quickly. I'm gonna do double chrono on the Adepts. Some people prefer to just do an extra chrono on the workers instead. But to each their own, right? So this guy was just kind of scouting around a bit.
The firstborn shall persevere. The Templar. Ire.
Alright, let's just go straight across the map for now. I'm not going to be coy with this. We will go for a Stargate, as I said. 2 Stalkers up. And then the Nexus.
Combat awaits.
Alright, so I should have done that shade a little bit earlier, but that's alright. I'm gonna put a pylon up there at some point.
We serve.
I didn't check what gateway units it was, so I'm gonna need to be very quick on this shield battery block.
We serve. Yes, Executor. Combat awaits.
I'm here in the shadows.
I think he might have thought I was Terran.
I'm here in the shadows. Go.
Najakar Mina.
This is game.
We are of one mind.
We
Yes, Executor. Faith before fear. To glorious battle.
Finished learning.
I am the
They're attacking our cute little probes. Not the probes.
Dimensional strings attuned.
I am here.
You seek. The threads of fate lie bare.
Just using hold position.
AOD Washagal. Reinterpret. Oracle
I am the voice.
Base is under attack.
I am here in the shadows.
And they're out of here.
Okay.
An omen.
We didn't get there, but I'll talk you through it anyway, some of them. So basically, in terms of this opening, this is one of your most generic openings. If you prefer to go double Stalker instead of double Adept, you're not going to be getting as much scouting, okay? So in that scenario, then there's a few things I missed, like I said, so I didn't do this perfectly. So in that scenario, this probe wants to try to hide. You always want to try to hide maybe here or here, wherever. And you want to come back in at 3:30 to see if they've expanded or not. Because if you can't figure out if they've expanded or not, things can get very awkward. The other thing you can do, if you really struggle with knowing with Adepts, a lot of people do like to put a pylon down at the front just before their probe leaves. See if it's Adepts, Stalkers, or Sentries that come out, and then cancel that pylon. So that's a nice way to give you a heads up. If you don't trust your reactions, if you like to shield battery block in time, it's good to know ahead of time, oh, there's Adepts this game, I need to block that, okay? Cool little detail. Otherwise, Adepts on a big map like this, you should shade across the map, usually not straight across, but over to say the 3rd or the 4th, shade twice, and then try to shade in, and make sure your shade has enough length to get at least to about here. You don't want your shade to finish right there. And obviously, if they get the block off in time, you just cancel it. Your Adepts shouldn't be getting in, but what your Adepts can do is they can see the ramp, they can force some units at home, and they can see if they've expanded. So your Adept's job, if they go out and start hunting with Stalkers, is you just run away with the Adepts, and you just shade. So say the Stalkers, you're here about to shade in, the Stalkers come out, you shade. Well, you can try to commit deep with the Adept. Because you've got Stalkers on top of you, you should usually play conservative. So if you've already got Stalkers chasing you, you change that Adept's path. It's running down here, you go, no, 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 change the Adept. And the shade path goes, and you let your shade finish here, you pull back a bit. And if you don't have good APM, a really good trick is with those Adepts, you go move here, shift click, move back here. And the idea there is, you know, those Stalkers are going to come clear the area around the base. You're saying, oh, just go back. You can come back to the shade position 30 seconds from now when I have the APM to deal with you. Let's go home in macro. So there's a nice thing there where you're still using the Adepts to shade, but you're much more conservative with it. The important thing is, if you want to go double Adept, you don't just shade in and YOLO. So behind that, you've gone to Adepts, you've gone Warp Gate. I was prioritizing minerals quite hard because this is an expand-based opening. This is not a fast Stargate opening, okay, guys? This is just a kind of regular Stargate opening. Like, in this case, 2 Adepts. We check around here, make sure there's no probes. And notice we got to about 17 or 18 on minerals, full gas, and a probe ready to block the wall. We then drop our Stargate. Should go down in a second here. Mine was a bit late. And then we queue up 2 Stalkers. So because this is a Stargate build, you could argue that I could have maybe put my guys on gas a little bit more, prioritize 2 on each gas geyser from the start. And that would have been a bit better for a Stargate build because it's more gas intensive. Whereas what you'll find I did is I often only had 1 worker on these gases from the start. So here, notice I was prioritizing almost always having 16 on minerals. And I was pulling guys off gas to kind of build structures, pulling guys off gas to go scout, right? So look at that, no one on there. Whereas if you prioritize 2 on each gas, then saturate your minerals, then add the 3rd one, you'd just be a little bit smoother at being able to start those 2 Stalkers on time. Whereas the way I was doing it, if he runs straight across the map with 2 Stalkers, I'm gonna have to wall off with a shield battery and buy a little bit of time because my Stalkers won't even be out yet, okay? But anyways, Adepts, we don't chrono that at all. Warp Gate, we don't need to with this build. So it's, once we start the 2 Stalkers, oh, and remember, always 3rd pylon, reinforcing the gateways, but also providing power field to the low ground so we can put shield batteries there. 1,000 details. 1,000 details that make up good PvP play, guys. Nexus, so it's 3rd and 4th gateway unit, aka 2 Stalkers. Nexus, then we're gonna make the Oracle next, okay? Now, if we look at this game, this probe was just chilling. Do we need a forward pylon? Having a forward pylon with my next pylon is amazing. It means I can warp in Adepts later on, be annoying. Awesome. Is it important now? Fuck no, this probe's been chilling for the last minute. What the hell, man? So basically, your probe wants to leave after you've checked to see if there was 3 pylons in the main. Now, I got over to his side of the map very late, and I wasn't sure I did a full circuit of his base. I actually did. And I actually saw there was no 3rd pylon. This third pylon went down as I left the base, which is way too late for a third pylon. So simply by scouting this whole base, if I was paying a bit more attention, I would have known this was a proxy Stargate. But even if I didn't know there was a third pylon missing, this probe by default should go check the common proxy locations. On this map, you've got an exposed mineral line on the main. Proxy Stargate anywhere up here is very common. Would have been a good idea for me to go check. A really common hiding spot is behind this. This is Site Blocker. A lot of people go pylon Stargate in here. So check there, check this whole area. Good thing that you probably should always do with this probe, and it can still loop back to get a proxy pylon up for later harassment a bit later on. So you link all of that together, and you should be good, right? Now, with this style, you do not have 100% scout on what their tech is, on what they're going for. So these stalkers, when they come out, you really, you do have to be worried about one thing, because I like to skip the shield battery. You go about 3:30 shield battery usually, right? This proxy oracle is so fucking late because he was dying to the adepts. It would normally have hit ages ago. But you should scout for a proxy oracle. You don't want to just build a safe shield battery in timing for a proxy oracle every game. That doesn't make sense. The 1 in 7 games you get proxy stargated, you're gonna have your shield battery in time. The rest you're wasting money, right? But if you start a shield battery 3:30, that can help cover you, and it frees up your stalkers to chase down adepts and that sort of stuff. The problem is, for me, sometimes I will chase those down, I won't build the shield battery, and then an oracle will roll into my mineral line. This is even off a Stargate in the main, this is a very common scenario, right? Because you have very limited anti-air, you've only got 2 stalkers, soon to have a 3rd and 4th stalker. You really should be fucking making sure you build that shield battery every game. If you don't know what's going on, you're really unsure, we should have that for sure. Now, the other thing here is, because I hadn't seen the oracle yet, what else should I be worried about? Oh, he's proxied something. What could I die to? DTs, right? So I should be putting a robo down right now and going, well, we need a fucking robo, man. Let's get an observer up. We got to be safe. Of course, even if DTs come, you can always just hold position units in your ramp right there, and that will stop DTs getting into your base. They'll buy quite a bit of time, and then you can wall off behind those buildings if you need, those units if you need to as well. Anything to stop them getting on top of your robo and your probes, and you'll be good. So hopefully that highlights how to play PvP. Nice solid opening. I very well could have been much more conservative and done a robo instead of an oracle. And that's really good for holding your opponent's 3-gate robo attacks, that sort of stuff. With that oracle build, I would have actually immediately wanted to start building void rays, shield batteries, and just trying to survive. If I was up against 3-gate robo, I might go straight for that and try to hold the natural. But if I don't scout it very fast, I might actually go and be like, oh shit, I've already committed to an oracle. This guy's, he's coming at me real hard. I might cancel my Nexus and just try to survive on the high ground while my Oracle does counter damage. And then you kind of get locked into an interesting game where things get a bit messy, but as long as you survive, they don't have the best transition from that. You've got a Stargate, so if they go Disruptors, which is very common at the moment, you can go Phoenix. Phoenix beats Disruptors if you micro it correctly. And yeah, it's good stuff. So there's a lot of different ways you can play it. But in terms of solid expand builds, you can do that. You can do the exact same build order, but you can sub the tech out for a Twilight Council, proxy, a DT Shrine. So hide your 3rd pylon in the corner of the map rather than at home, and build the DT Shrine. You can build the Twilight in your base if you want, or you can proxy the Twilight and the DT Shrine to really keep them guessing. And you're still expanding off it. You're still playing a very economic build. It's still quite solid. But it's just, you know, the differences here are, well, if you go robo, you're just mega safe and defensive, right? You can do some faster prism harass. Oracles, you get a big oracle swing in that can do big damage. DTs, big DT swing in that can potentially do big damage. So at least there's some sort of pressure in the oracle or the DT version. That is why I generally prefer them rather than just sitting on your ass for the first few minutes of the game. I like to skill check my opponent and make sure they're not getting away with any bullshit. We also feel generally like if you go robo and they go oracles and they go 2 or 3 oracles, it's very hard to move out before like the 10-minute mark because you're just forced into so many stalkers and just forced to sit in your mineral lines defending. And it's really hard to not take big damage from those oracles. So good luck, have fun.